All right, guys. Welcome to the Coffee with Friends podcast.
Yeah.
I'm joined with my beautiful wife, Siomi, on a very special occasion.
Stop.
Why?
Because it's number 10.
Episode number 10.
10.
We're here.
We made it.
We did it. Episode number 10. 10 consecutive weeks of dropping the pod. Just want to shout out every single one of you who have joined us, who just supports by watching, by listening to the pod on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and anywhere else you consume podcast content. So thank you guys. It's been a journey. It's not easy. We're currently looking at our dogs facing off on the couch right behind the camera.
Oh.
They're about to fight.
Asuna didn't like that. Oh.
All right.
Ren girl.
Hopefully they don't go crazy.
I think Ren wants somewhere to lay down.
Yeah. That's probably what it is.
Asuna's staying up the couch. I'm going to move this stuff. Oh, she got it.
Oh, she's fine. All right. Well, of course, as y'all always know, if the dogs come here, they are the unwanted special guests.
Unwanted?
Yes.
Don't
we do
talk
not
about
want
like
them
that.
On here.
I do.
Maybe one day
They're my special girls.
We'll have a dogs and cat podcast.
Now the cat, she stays in the room.
Yeah.
During this time.
Yeah, so we'll see how they go. But we are so thankful for you guys. And today with episode 10, there she comes. There she comes, everybody. There's Ren. Today we will be talking about our story. Now, why are we going to be talking about our story? Well, because there's actually a couple of you who are curious and haven't actually fully heard or really probably know the full story. That's true. You know, there's a lot of you guys that know us and know us currently, but maybe not a lot of you guys know how we got together in our journey here.
Yeah, they don't know that I'm a thug.
Yeah. We were thugging out back in Dallas. But yeah, so we're going to make it a fun little episode. We're going to be answering some questions that you guys sent in. Always feel free to send us more.
Yeah.
And we're just going to have a good time and just talk about that. These past couple of episodes have been a little bit more like, on some serious topics and thought-provoking conversations. We're just going to have a fun time with this.
Yeah, for sure.
So, here we go.
Okay.
All right, our story. The first question is, when and where did y'all meet for the first time? Do you remember what the other person was wearing?
I do.
I do too.
Actually, we didn't even meet. I can do both. I can do both. I can do.
Okay,
Ren said she can also do both.
Yes.
I remember the first time I saw you. I didn't get to meet you because I was leading worship for the kids ministry at that time. So in the theater, I was upstairs on the balcony.
The mezzanine.
That. Or the box.
The box. Yeah, we called it the box. Yeah.
It was a box, technically.
It really was.
And you were performing a song.
Correct.
I actually have a Snapchat memory of this.
Really?
And on the memory, it says some dumb along the lines like, "My church is so lit." Or something.
I mean, it was.
Something like that.
We were.
And I think you were wearing like jeans with your jean jacket.
I know exactly. Yep.
And your Broken Vessels black cap.
Yep.
And I think you were either wearing, because it was far, so you were either wearing a tan shirt or a pink one.
Pink.
Yeah, it was a pink one.
Yep.
With your zebras.
That's crazy.
That's what you were wearing. This was on December 7th?
Yeah, it was December
of
something.
2018.
2017.
17.
17.
Yeah. 17.
That's crazy.
That's the first time I saw you. The first time I met you was in Deep Ellum.
Correct.
At prayer.
That was the first time I saw you. Yeah. Because I was actually thinking you were going to talk about that, but yeah, no, you're right. It was prior to that. It was the way.
That's the first time I saw you.
It was when
I didn't get to meet you.
Yeah, the first time I went to Calvary was that we were performing one of our songs for the offering.
The offertory song.
The offertory song was literally a rap song that I did with a friend of mine at the time, which is so crazy. That was our invitation to the church. I think it's so funny because that right there just set up the rest of our time there. It was so funny. But yeah, so okay. Yeah, wow, spot on. So the first time
Never say I don't remember.
Oh, no, you remember, yeah.
I have a good memory.
The first time I ever saw Xiaomi was at the Deep Elm thing. So this was like my third or like my second kind of like event or whatever at Calvary, and I was invited to go to this like pop up. It was like a pre-launch. It wasn't even like a launch. It was like a I guess like a prayer time or something for
yeah. It was for the Deep Ellum services. It was like a prayer for it.
We were gonna do a pop up at this bar called the Drugstore Cowboy. Doesn't exist there anymore. R.I.P.
Rip.
But we were going to start doing our pop up services there Sunday nights. So shout out to Vincent. He invited me. He was like, "Hey,
that's right.
Come through, come check it out. Would love you to meet some people, and if you want to be a part of this, come hang out." So
yeah.
I remember driving to Deep Ellum, parking. At this time, I was extremely introverted, very like not talking to people.
We could
so
talk
I was like,
about this.
yeah. So I was by myself. I was like, I don't know what to expect. This was weird. So I pull up, and everyone's there. That small group of people. That was the launch team for that, and you know. Everyone looked cool. Everyone's like vibing. I was like, this is dope. And then I see Xiaomi, and I remember exactly what you were wearing. You were wearing overalls
Classic.
and a windbreaker It was like the purple one, black multicolored windbreaker. And I believe your hair was either purple or white or silver.
It was lavender.
Lavender. Yeah, it was like that lavender color. So I saw her, and she was leading worship with someone else. And that was the first time I ever saw you. And I was like, okay, she has cool style. And I was like, dang, she can sing. This is dope. So like that was like my first impression. I was like, yo, okay, she's cool. She's cool. But everyone there was super cool and stuff. So I was like, man, like this is dope. So I remember I saw her. I remember exactly what she was wearing, and she was leading worship. And I was like, nice.
Well, it was before worship that we met.
I believe
you
so.
You walked in with Vincent, and I think this one I don't fully remember because I just remember thinking he's too cool for me. And he said I had a cool style, but honestly, I felt like such a loser. I was in overalls, you know.
You were. Classic.
I'm still always consistently in overalls.
In them right now.
Not much has changed.
No.
And he was wearing, I think you were wearing your orange long sleeve or your tan. I don't know.
That was like the second time.
Okay, then you were in the all black.
Yes.
You were in the all black jeans, like skinny, torn up jeans.
Good old
with a
skinny
black
jeans.
long, with a black long line jersey, and it was white at the bottom.
Yep.
And you were wearing hella rings, and I mean,
and
he
the
had
plaid,
swag with the black plaid. He was too cool. He was
style.
Too cool.
Back in the day,
and I think you were
was,
wearing some boots.
I was.
You wasn't. You weren't wearing. Yeah, you were not wearing your zebras at that time.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, immediately, Vince was like, "Oh, hey, this is Xiaomi. This is Sam." Introduced us, and we shook hands. And I was like, "We'd never be friends," because he was. I just thought he was way too cool. Like he had this like swag about him that I was like, "Dang."
That was back in the day.
But I did think you were cute.
That was back in the day when I was rocking them fire fits, and I did have that drip on me for sure back in the day. I will stand on that. Yeah. But that's exactly
smaller beard.
Smaller beard. Oh
way smaller beard.
Didn't have the stash. This is recent, by the way, guys. This is
like 2022.
2 years, yeah.
2022.
So I didn't have the stash. I just had the beard.
Still cute though.
That was the first time I met you. Like we actually made contact, interacted.
Yeah.
And then after that, we would meet and hang out because of church on Sunday, and then Deep Ellum on Sunday nights, and then some kind of like team stuff we would do throughout the week, and Bishop Arts and Tribal, all that stuff. The good old days.
Yep.
So that is how we met, guys. That was the first interaction. That was our first kind of impressions of one another. But that goes into the second question, which is, what was your first impression of each other?
We just answered that.
I
just answered that, at least. Yeah. I immediately thought you were too cool to even just be my friend, not even like romantically. I just was like, he's too cool. He's too cool. And yeah, that was my initial thought. And when I saw you, you had a posse.
Well, not the first time.
No, when I saw you the first time, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Not the day we met, but you had a posse.
Yeah,
and
I remember I rolled up with like
he had a posse. Like
we talked about this last
followed
episode.
him. People followed him. He swears no, but I know the truth. And there are those of you who did meet him, then you know I'm telling the truth.
You probably thought I was like this influencer or something like that.
I didn't think you were an influencer.
Because I was not.
Don't.
I was a YouTuber.
Don't gas yourself up like that.
I was a YouTuber, guys.
You were not.
Nah, I did not.
But he did have a posse.
I just had my boys with me.
I thought he was too cool. I was like, dang, like people follow him like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, my first impression was again that you were really cool, unique looking. You know, the hair. Obviously, that all of y'all who know Xiaomi, it's probably the first thing. Obviously, if it catches your attention. Correct. You know, her style was sick, and then again, like hearing her lead worship was like, dang, because obviously it's what I do and what I did. So I always, you know, when I see someone who does that, it always intrigues me. But always, like, you know, so I was like, she's cool, she's dope. And then, you know, seeing her serve in so many things, because she was serving in kids, you were serving in next gen, and she was always, you know, walking around with the camera and stuff. I was like, she's dope. Like, this is cool. Like, I saw a creative person. I saw someone who was not afraid to be themselves, who was very individualistic, like did not, you know, try to be anyone other than herself. And that was cool. That was really cool. And that's what drew me to her. But we were friends for like a month, 2 months. Because this was
after that first meeting. It was January 6th or something.
Yeah.
We didn't talk again until February.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this was all purely like acquaintances, like church, like hanging out. Like we weren't friends. Like we weren't hanging out. The first time we hung out was like that first moment when we when you pulled up to see if and I because we were having like a meeting with some of the volunteers. Granted, again, we've talked about this a little bit, but like all the volunteers, like those of us who are running the church were all kids, bro, like college students. So
young adults.
Yeah. So they would pull up to see if and I after class, and we would go to an empty room and have like meetings there because we were all, you know, coming out of lunch. So Xiaomi and a couple other people who obviously weren't at CFN at the time ended up pulling up. And we had a meeting, and then I don't remember, you can tell the story a lot better, but like the first time we actually hung out as friends or whatever was the meeting ended, and was it you or me said you were like, oh, I'm hungry. I was like, same.
I was trying to get Sam to hang out. We were going to the same place at the same time. Yeah. And I kind of overheard you say that you were hungry. And so then I very verbally, loudly said, I'm hungry too. And then it was like, hey, let's go out to I'm pretty sure I asked you.
Because I think
I was like, hey, let's go.
But we had something else.
Yeah, after. we were going to the same place at the same time together. Yeah. So I was like, hey, let's go get something to eat, and then let's go to Michael's house. So we were going to Michael's house. Yeah. And you said which I thought was pretty shocking. Yeah. You were like, sure, whatever. And we got in my car.
The good old cross tour.
The cross tour.
It was a cross tour,
I was driving the cross tour.
Yeah.
And
we went to Jack in the Box.
Love that car. And we went to Jack in the Box.
In Bishop Arts.
We went to the Jack in the Box on Tyler.
On Tyler, yes.
Right in front of Cesar's Tacos.
Yes. That was our first time we hung out, just me and her, like just one-on-one.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went. So this again, so small tangent. We'll probably get into a couple of these as we explain.
We have to make sure we don't drag this out.
Yeah, we're gonna try to be as concise as possible.
Yeah.
So we go to this person's house, but they were doing their taxes and said they were gonna be late, and
they said it was like, I'm be like 30 minutes late.
So we ended up parking outside their apartment, and we were gonna, all right, let's just eat, and we'll wait for them to come home. That was how long were we in that car?
2 hours.
Like 2 hours.
Wait. But you skipped the good part.
Oh, yeah.
You skipped like the best part. You're just trying. It's for you. You're just trying to avoid it.
No, because I forgot.
No. I'm going to say it.
I forgot. This is a key part.
Because it is so key.
This is like a big part
This is important. It's if not one of the most important things. We get our Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
And we're just talking. Like we were really just having conversation. And, if you grew up in the church world, you do this thing where you couple people off in the church.
People. Yeah.
You ship people. Yeah. So we were talking about like who and who and XYZ, whatever.
Classic.
And then, preface, Sam is...
At the time, how old are
you now?
Well, I'm 25.
25.
So.
Okay. Sam is 25. I'm 31. There's a 6-year difference. Yes. I am older. Yeah. Okay. That's important. Because that day in the car, like, he just goes, I could never date a girl who's older than me.
I don't know the context.
Guys, I'm sitting there and it's just like one tear. Like, I'm holding it together. Because at this point, I already thought you were cute.
Yeah.
I already was like trying to like test the waters, because we all pray for who we want, what we're looking for now. I was very specific about one thing. I didn't pray for like, I hope he's tall. I didn't even pray for character. I didn't pray for nothing. Okay. I'm going to tell you what I prayed for. This is the truth. I prayed for a man who led worship and DJ'd.
Correct.
This is what I prayed for. Actually, Linda and I talked about this weekend. Really? About how like this was specifically what I prayed for. And Deep Ellum was the exact mesh or combination of that. Yeah. And Sam opened up our first Deep Ellum service with a DJ set. And in love. I fell in love. I literally went to the table and I was like, guys, I'm in love. and so after that, then I was like, dang, let me try to find out. And then he hit me with I'll never date someone who's older than me.
The funny thing is I don't remember the context. I
was so heartbroken.
Because I didn't know. Like, I didn't know
we
that
didn't
she
know
liked
how
me.
old we were.
Yeah, I didn't know she liked me. I didn't know how old she was. I just kind of said it. I was like, I just would never get with someone older than me. But it's so funny because we always joke about this because it's like, I didn't know she liked me. I didn't know she was older than me. But when I said that was like a boom, just hit her with that.
Oh, that hurt me in my heart. But you know what? We were strong. And we kept the conversation going. Yeah. I ended up asking like, why? I tried to like ask why. And you're like, because... I don't remember what you said. Probably something along the lines of they're being too serious, like you're trying to live, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. But I remember I said that. We joke about it after because like when we were dating, because we were like, wow, that was so funny. But yeah, so we had that. That was a funny conversation. We got to the house.
Parked. We sat in the car, talked for 2+ hours
about like life.
Like you broke down your life for me. I broke down my life for you. And ask us if we ate our Jack in the Box.
We didn't eat.
We didn't eat. We just
full on convo.
Well, I guess you can tell that we like to talk.
Yeah. So full on conversation. Completely forgot we had food. The guy ends up showing up at his house at like 2 hours later. Like we go in, we hang out, all that stuff. But that was like our first hang out
Yeah.
one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
From there, it was like we didn't really do it again. That was just kind of like very acquaintances. And then I don't remember when, but she ended up swiping up.
I do.
She slid into my DMs and swiped up on a picture I posted on my story.
So you just gotten a haircut.
I got a haircut, and she like swiped up with the hard eyes.
It was right before you left for spring break.
Yes, and
if you want something, go get it. That's all I'm gonna say. If you want something, go get it. At least that's how I operate.
I mean,
if I want something, I'll get it. I'll find a way.
Xiaomi was very bold. Yeah. That at that point I knew something was up. I'm like, okay, I feel like she's feeling me. She's you know, and then I think from there we just DM'd for a while.
You gotta tell them that you went and showed your friends.
Oh yeah, I mean, look,
you guys had the whole.
The boys know. The boys know, and if you're a dude and you got your boys, you know, it's kind of standard operating procedure. You know, you just kind of go, you say, hey, yo, look, this is what's going on. You converse, you get the counsel involved.
The counsel.
And, you weigh out the pros and cons. So, like, I'm
interested on what my pros and cons were.
I mean, no one really knew you know, because, again, like, they weren't part of, like, that group in Calvary, so they didn't really know.
That's true.
So I was just kind of based off of what I told them and what they saw, and I was all right, whatever, we'll see. Yeah. Didn't really pay too much attention. I go back home to Houston, spring break, and then long story short, because again we can drag this on. We're gonna try to be very concise. We were texting, and then we would have phone calls.
No.
I'm trying to skip. No. There's so.
It's because
much.
you're just making it look like I was the only one interested.
No.
Because let me tell you something. If you're a girl, you'll understand. He posted a show or movie recommendations. Yeah, and if you know me, you know I love TV.
Oh, yeah,
I love me some TV. So I recommended a show called...
Which one was it? It wasn't Stranger Things.
One. It was the other one.
Oh, Everything Sucks.
Everything Sucks.
That was the one that we
That
watched.
was so good. I'm upset. Yeah. Anyways, and I recommended Everything Sucks. And this is how I knew that he was interested in return. Okay? He would watch and he would give me, you know, his thoughts about it, which, okay, that's fine. Yeah. But he did this thing where he would record his reaction to certain episodes and send me the videos. And I said, not just any boy is going to take the time to record and send a girl a video.
Yeah.
Because that's time consuming. And if you don't like someone, you're not going to take the time.
I mean,
and that's when I knew. I was like, I'm in. And then that was like the first couple of days of that. And then during that show is when we were texting a lot. We'd text. And then you want to tell them what happened when you like disappeared?
I'm trying to remember.
I remember. So at the time I had quit my job and I really wanted to work at Tribal. And I was determined to get a job there, even though they didn't want to give me a job there. That's okay. I forgave them. But I was determined. I was like, I'm going to sit here every day until I get this job. I just wanted to work at a cafe, I think. But that one in particular, because it was cute. And I was sitting there, and I've been talking to Sam pretty regularly, pretty normal. And he like texted me, and he was like, hey, this was March 14th. He was like, hey.
It's crazy. Remember the date.
I really feel like I need some alone time, so I'm just going to disconnect. So if I don't text you back, don't think anything weird or bad.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And I'll text you when whatever. I was like, all right, whatever. Like, we weren't dating. We weren't anything.
We were just like friends.
We were just friends.
Who were interested in each other.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I was like, cool. And then literally like 2-3 minutes later, I kid you not, someone we both know mutually texted me, I think I broke Sam.
I remember that.
And I was like, okay. And she like went on to like say how, I don't know, I honestly don't remember. All I know is that she was freaking out, and I was like, bro, like chill out. You take time alone to yourself. Like it's not that serious. It's not that deep. Like it's not like just chill. Like he's just wants alone time. Yeah. And if you
I was also
Sam
going
knew
through
Sam,
like,
you would know that like alone time was like it made sense for who he was. And so I was like, all right, whatever.
Extremely like, introverted, going through my own mental stuff at the time. So it was very
so I was like, whatever, I don't care.
Emotional.
I was like, chill out, calm down, like move let's move on. And and I think like we weren't even like public friends like that.
No.
And I remember I had a Next Gen meeting and they were like, Xiaomi, can you text Sam and ask him? Blah, blah. I was like, everybody at that table talked to you more than I talked to you. And I was like, remember I was like, why can't y'all do it? And they were like, oh, we just want you to do it. I was like, I guess. And I texted him and I was like, asked whatever question they had me ask you. And you replied promptly.
As I always do.
Yeah. It's not always a good thing. And then I texted him. I was like, hey, I hope you're feeling okay. If you need anything or you want to talk through anything, let me know. Alas, began
like
the beginning of us.
And then that's when we really started talking. Also, again, so I was very introverted, was kind of beginning my journey with my mental health, like the negative parts of it. So it was, I was going through a lot of things. On top of, I was going back to Dallas, got in a car accident. That really ticked me off. And I was like, I was just a lot of stress. That was like a lot of things going on. So I'm back home, and I mean, essentially, we trauma bonded for the first couple of days. You
told the story backwards, but
I mean, but we ended up like talking a lot, getting into deep conversations.
When I asked what he wanted and anything, we texted till like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like simple; it was like paragraphs. I was like, I'm not doing this. I said, call me.
Yeah.
And I gave him my number.
And then we got smart.
Gave him my number.
She threw it at me.
We talked till 6 a.m. the next day. I wasn't working, so it was cool. It was fine. I was just sitting at Tribal all day.
Yeah.
And then I was at a meeting, like a volunteer staff meeting, whatever, at Common Desk. And I remember we were on a break, and you texted me that you got in a wreck. And I was like, rip, like here we go. Because you had spiraled the night before.
Oh yeah.
And we finally like got to a place, and then this happened.
And that just
and then I was like, here we go.
It was a rough
again. It was
week,
rough.
Guys.
It was rough, and he was coming back to see me.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah, and like that, so it was like a lot of that, and that's when we started talking
again.
Yeah, on the phone. Wait, but
this is important.
This goes into the next question. Okay. Right. So keep in mind, all of this is happening. We're talking on the phone. March 15th, right? Super, super early. But this goes into because you're about to hit a big part, which is part of the next question.
Okay.
How long did it take y'all to know, or how long did it take y'all to fall in love, or when did you know they were the one?
March 14.
Right there. Yep.
March 14. At least for me.
For you.
For me, because I don't know about you. For me,
that was,
I knew.
It was that, second night? First night. We were on
the
phone
second night, like in true 19-year-old fashion, you were like, so do you like?
I was 19 years old this time, I think.
You were.
Right? Yeah.
You were. You just turned 19.
Yeah.
He was like, so do you like?
Why do you make me talk like that?
Like me? Because this is how I imagine. Because it was so high school. Like I was like, this is why.
That's wild though, because I did not.
Do you like?
What is this? Like what? Like why are you putting that accent on me? I definitely did not talk like that. Like what?
But I just.
You're making me sound like, and tonight will be the night. Like, no, fam. I was emo.
Yeah, you were.
But I was angsty. Not like that.
You were angsty.
Oh, absolutely.
So 100% it fits. And he looks, so do you like me? And I was like, I remember sitting there and I was like, bruh. And I was like, yeah. And you're like, do you like do you love me?
So wild. You're saying it like that.
It's how. Okay, and then he was like, so do you love me?
Yeah, there you go. No, it was more like, like Batman, like, like the
No, it wasn't.
Type thing.
You wish.
Yeah.
You're not that tough.
I was like super deep voice.
He was not.
Super like.
Honestly,
voice
my
actor
depiction is more accurate than
stuff.
yours. So do you love me?
No.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I do.
Yeah.
Do you? And he was like, yeah, I think so. always. And I was like, whatever. Like, you know what? Like, I put myself out there. I'm gonna just be real.
Yeah, you took the
always.
risk.
I'm just gonna be like, if he didn't love me, that was fine.
Yeah.
It's hard not to, but I was like,
Yeah.
it's fine. Like, he asked me, like, do you like me? I was like, yeah. I was like, do you like love me? And I think of that, but at that point, like, we had already had these like intense, wild conversations.
Yeah.
I think like, you were just starting your mental health journey, and I had already been like
kind of through yours,
kind of through mine. Yeah. So I kind of understood you a little differently than most people, or at least most people you allowed in.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was a big part of our trauma bond.
Oh yeah.
Was
definitely.
like me basically being like, no, this is what you're feeling and what you're going through and what you're thinking. Yeah. And you were like, whoa, no one's ever read me like that.
It was
before.
the first time I felt like understood. Yeah. Like I felt I could have a conversation with someone. I'm very like, I'm not a small talk guy. Like I hate that.
For sure.
I need to be mentally stimulated. Like we got to have deep, full conversations. So like when I was talking with you and the fact that you could go to that level with me, I was like, dang, like that's crazy. Like I've never met or been with anyone that could go there. So all those things were like affected that. Yeah. And we say this, some of you who know and have heard our story, we say this, and we're going to say it to those of you who are listening for the first time. Yeah. What we did was extremely rare. Yeah. Our story is extremely rare, and we do not recommend it. We do not recommend it. Yeah. Because essentially, we said we loved each other how many days after we met each other? How many weeks? Like 2 months?
Since like we actually started talking? Yeah. Like it was 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was extremely fast. Yeah. Extremely fast. But yeah, I mean, the things that we went through were tough. Things that, the conversations and the things that we went through were things that people who have dated for years are engaged and even married. Yeah. Have conversations and go through. Like it was that much. So everything was expedited. Yep. We do not recommend
Amazon
it.
Prime. So.
Yeah. So we do not recommend it at all, but that was our story. Like our story was everything clicked so fast. Yeah. So, with that question, it's like, I mean, we knew pretty quickly, like we knew that other person had something that we needed, right? Yeah. She had something that I needed, that I wanted. I had something that she needed and she wanted. No. And well, yeah, probably not. No, but so she like saw something in me and said, I want that, I need that. I saw something that I want that, I need that. And we're like, okay, this is it. Like we're gonna commit to this.
Yeah, I was sold the first day you DJ'd. Like I was convinced.
Which that is not a good idea.
Not the best, but I prayed for something specific and it showed up. Yeah. I was just like, oh, bet this is my answered prayer.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was one of those really rare, and maybe some of you who are watching or listening have a similar story, but it is very rare, and it's not common, and it's not encouraged. Sure. But, it was so fast. We just were like, all right. And we're very, like, 100 people, like 0 or 100. So we're like, we're going to do this or we're not. So that's how it started. Now, that answers the other question of who said I love you first. Obviously, Xiaomi said it first. But
only because you asked.
Yeah, and the thing, too, was because I was going through everything I was going through, I had a lot of trust issues. I had a lot of commitment issues. So, like, I really struggled to say yes and commit fully, even though that is my personality. But,
at that time in your life.
At that time, I was like, I don't know. And to fast forward, that whole rest of that year was an on and off of like, do we do this or do we not? Like me questioning, questioning if this was something that she wanted to do. Like me questioning, do you really love me? Do you really want this? And it was just a very difficult cycle, vicious cycle of me. Sometimes you, but really it was mostly me kind of like second guessing.
Yeah.
Whether we should have been doing this and been together. Yeah. Again, on top of me going through my journey, it was really rough. On top of us serving in church at a very high capacity, on top of me being in college, you working and leaving your house and getting your own place. It was just a lot of things. So again, we don't recommend the way we did things at all.
For sure.
Absolutely not. But it was something that in retrospect, which we tell people all the time when they ask us, it's like we're so thankful for because I'm getting really ahead. We'll get there in a second, but just side note. But when we got engaged and married, it was like, all right, here we are. Like it wasn't this like, who is this person? Oh my God, like we haven't had these conversations and da-da-da. Like there's a lot of stories we hear of people saying, you know, they have great friendships and then they get engaged and they get married and it's like, who is this person?
Like, and then things change and this person, you know.
And it's I think we that weird like we didn't go to that hard part place, right? And we went through the hard place and stuff really early. Yeah. So when we got together, there was no questions or fear. Like I knew exactly what she wanted, where she was going. She knew exactly what I wanted and where I was going. Yeah. So that was the blessing in the curse of that, was that we were very much so like super sure. And we didn't really deal with a lot of issues in terms of like surprises.
Sure. Yeah.
We had lots of issues, but like nothing was a surprise.
Not like I didn't know. It was more exacerbated thing.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Anyway, moving on. We're trying to keep this concise. This is a lot. This is gonna be like three podcasts long.
For sure.
Maybe we'll do a part 2 and a part 3. But
that's fun.
Second one is, this one's a little bit funnier. So, did they give you an ick? If so, what was it?
Oof.
That's part 1 and part 2. What was a red and green flag?
Oh, gosh. To be honest, I don't think I got an ick until we were married.
And I love that. I was going to say that.
Until we got married. No, yeah.
Which is a funny thing.
I didn't get an ick until, well, maybe engaged. Maybe when I moved to Houston.
Maybe, yeah.
I think...
Then things started getting like serious, probably.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Because I feel like everything I just said is true and all that. But here's what I like this question, and the reason I love the way you answer it, because that's my exact same answer.
Yeah.
Is because of everything that we went through and how we went through it, there was a lot of like, everyone usually goes through this. You have that puppy love phase where like that person's perfect. That person, everything about them is perfect.
Yeah.
Everything is great. And you don't know a person until you live with them. Yeah. And until you live with them and commit marriage and all that, like when you go into that, then you really see everything. And we did see everything, a lot of it, but not everything, right? Something that marriage does is that it exposes everything. And I was going to say the same thing, though, but like, although we went through so much and knew each other so well and didn't have these weird, whatever, like surprises, like we knew each other. But I didn't have an ick either until, or like, I didn't have those, like, you know, like the red flags, icks, whatever. Like, I didn't
red
have
flags
that.
Were
flying. We had a lot of red flags.
So many.
But like, ick, the whole like ick thing, like, I'm like, no, I didn't have one or think I had one until we got married.
Yeah.
I think that's when we're like, because then you live with that person and.
You were a little lazy.
Oh.
I mean, still.
Dude.
But.
Okay, when we were dating,
it was bad.
I was so.
It was bad.
It was so bad.
It was bad.
It was so bad.
I mean, even when I moved to Houston, it was bad.
I did not have the drive and the commitment that I have now at all.
No.
You know, that was definitely that was the one I was going to say if you weren't going to say it. For me, I was like, one. That to me was like a big one.
Yeah, that was not a good one.
And the thing too is, side note, for all you ladies out there, do not ever date or be with a guy who has zero drive.
Oof, for sure.
Who does not have goals.
Yeah.
Who does not have that indomitable spirit of like, I'm going to go get something. I'm going to do, like, do not.
Yeah.
Because I was like that, but also a lot of people around me were like that.
Yep.
And looking back now, I mean, a lot of relationships didn't work.
Yep.
Because a lot of those guys were just doing nothing with their lives. Didn't have drive. So just side note, like if you're dating someone, if you're considering marriage, if that guy does not have drive, if he's not showing you that he can get what he wants, or, you know, XYZ or whatever you want to call it, has goals in mind, don't do it.
Don't do it.
But yeah, that was definitely for me huge character arc. Huge character arc. For you, I don't know. Again, I don't really know.
Perfect.
Oh, no, I do. I do have one. It was how easily you let people stomp over you.
Oh my gosh.
How easily people used her emotionally. That was like my biggest thing when we were dating. It was a red flag. It was a red flag. But the ick, I think, was more so like, it was kind of like the friendships that you had and all that. Like I you know, there were certain things I was like, ugh, this isn't good for you.
Yeah.
And it would affect us.
Yeah,
so another side note, when you're dating someone, you're not just dating them, you're dating their friends.
Yep.
Not in that sense, okay?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Right? Like, their friends are involved in your relationship whether you like it or not.
Yep.
Because guess what? That happens with marriage.
Yep.
Ha-ha. There it is. So it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Who you date, like, look at their circle, and they will affect your relationship. I don't care who you are.
Yep.
It's going to affect you.
Yep.
So that was, I think, a big one. I think that was the one for sure.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Wasn't an egg.
Yeah. But it was probably that. Yeah. And again, huge character development, because we went through those hard things. You know, I mean, that was probably maybe year 3 or 2, I think, when we finally kind of 3, maybe
2.
I don't know, 2, right? Yeah. When we
2
kind of like moved on from those things, but those were very early on, very difficult roadblocks for us. There were roadblocks for us for sure that affected our relationship. Next one. What thing or things drew you the most to them?
Well, I already answered this question like twice.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, for both of us, I think it's very similar.
Well, one, it was exactly perfectly what I prayed for. And I really didn't pray for, like, character.
On that note, though, very quickly, this is interesting, because I know a lot of you who are listening and watching are probably, who are single, are probably wondering or asking the question, like, should you do that? Is that something you should do? You know, is it a whole bunch of voodoo mumbo jumbo type of stuff? Like, or is it like valid? Like, you know, having a list of standards and praying for God to bring you that person. So how was with that, with you? Like, how did that, like, how did you, I guess, deal with that or whatever? Like, was that something that you looked at as like, okay, like, I'm going to write down my list and believe God to give me that? Like, what was it? Yeah, bring us into that.
I was just like, God, like, you know what I want. Like, you know me, one. Like, you know me the best. And if you know me, like, I am a simple person. I don't need a lot of things. I just want certain things. And so, like, I knew that if I'm praying for a man who led worship, it comes with its own thing, you know. It comes with devotion to God, prayer, like all of, you know, all those things. And so, like, I really didn't like sit with it. I just knew that I really wanted someone who DJ'd, because I do love electronic music. Like, I do really love it. And I wanted someone who understood that, but still loved God, because that's not always a combination. And it's never a combination.
And the ones that are corny.
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm gonna say it's corny, bro.
And so I was, I was just really, I didn't have a list. I didn't have anything set up. I just knew that what I wanted was a worship leader and a DJ.
Yeah.
And
so,
Linda will attest to that. Yvette will attest to that. Even
but
Sylvia.
I think the beauty of that, I think there's truth in that, and I think again, like, it's not about, because again, I think people take things to the extreme.
Don't
this isn't
be obsessive about it. You know,
it's not no spell or witchcraft type of stuff. I'm gonna write this down and manifest it. No.
Don't be obsessive.
But
I think
God gives you the desires of your heart according to His purpose.
Yeah.
Emphasis on purpose and will, not don't be like, I want a Lambo and God's gonna give me a Lambo so I can go wreck it. No, it's like God will give you the desires of your heart if it's according to His purpose. That's a whole thing. We'll talk about that another time. But but I do believe that God knows what you want, and pray for those things, desire those things, and ask God to bring it, because the Bible says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. The Bible talks about Proverbs 31. There's so many verses about finding a good woman and a good man and praying for a godly woman and a good man. So
I mean, that drew me to him. Also, I know he says he was like in his introverted phase, but guys, like, I just wish I could take you back and see what I see, because he was like the life of the room. Like, where he was, there was party. There was just like big energy and just fun and not recklessness, but just this like big fun energy that you wanted to be a part of. And you weren't exclusive. Like, you would bring people in and it was just really fun, really light, really bright. Like, it was cool. And I was like, I want a part of that, because I felt like I fit. Like, I was like, me too. Like, I want to get rowdy and loud and be obnoxious and feel like you had main character energy. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you had true main character energy, and people knew it. People saw it. People knew it. And funny. That's who you were. And I was like, same.
I love that. Thank you.
Yep.
I think for me, again, it's what drew me to Xiaomi was just like her individuality. The thing that caught my attention was her creativity, was the fact that she was unafraid and unapologetic to be herself. She never let anyone change her. And I like that, because in a world of copycats and of counterfeits and fakes, it's so hard to find a woman that is so confidently herself. And that's what I loved, that she was so confident in that sense. And on the inside, she could have hated herself and been crying or whatever and going through stuff, but she never let that like change the fact that she was going to choose to be the joy and the life of the party and all that. Thanks. And I loved that about her. I loved that she understood me like no one else in the world has ever understood me. Like, that was the thing. Like, the conversations I had with her, still have with her. I mean, that's, again, like, when you're looking for a wife, guys, like, the whole marry your best friend, I cannot stress that enough. Like, if you don't marry your best friend, what are you doing? Like, what are you do? I don't get it.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
This is a person you're going to grow old with.
Yeah.
Like, she made me laugh. She understood all my thoughts, or wanted to understand them. Like, she was interested in what I thought and what I had to say. There was a lot of things that drew me to her, but it was just her soul was something that, like, I didn't see that in many people, if anybody. And that was like what drew me to her, was just that she was so uniquely herself. Like, she stood out, and I'm like, I want that. Like, I want that in my life. I want someone that's stands out with me. And obviously those of you who know us we're very alike. We're very different, but very alike. And those are the things that I was like, I want the parts of her that are very different. I was introverted. It's funny that she says all those things. That's a beautiful dichotomy of it all. But like, she was very extroverted people person. Like, I want that in my life. But then she was also extremely creative, and all that, musically inclined, did worship, loved God, wanted to be in ministry. I'm like, okay, this is a person that I want in my life and to do ministry with the rest of my life. So it's like, those things drew me to her and made me say, okay, this is worth it. So, yeah, I mean, as we're talking about these things, I would recommend you look at yourself and your relationship through those lens and ask those questions because they really matter.
They do.
And they're a big deal. I mean, the person you're choosing to live the rest of your life with, that's the second most important decision of your life. So you got to really, 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 one, allow God into it, but think about it.
Yeah.
Another question. This is an interesting kind of like different one here. Most embarrassing church moment. This was a tough one, honestly.
Together?
I can't think. Yeah, I guess together or individual, but I can't think
in general.
Of one. Yeah.
At any point in my life.
I guess. I mean, I mean, individual. I think we have a lot. I think together though. Do we have one?
Together.
I have one. I have
both
one.
Of us?
No, for me, you're involved.
Oh.
But it's me. It's not you and I got embarrassed. It was embarrassing for me, but you were there. It's a wild story.
I don't know I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it. Yeah, I'll say. Okay, do you have one? I think that's the one I got.
No,
you have one?
I don't know.
Embarrassing church
not
moment
from
together?
when I met you.
Mm-mm.
Not really.
I don't think we have any together. There's not one that we have that's together
at the same time.
At the same time?
No.
We've had embarrassing moments, that's for sure, but not
Tell your story.
Not together.
Your recent time. The people want to hear.
So, I mean, there's one, and this one's probably the most embarrassing. Some of y'all know it. I'm open about it. I talk about. Look, guys, we're open about our lives and our past and stuff. We're an open book. But so it was during our time in Dallas, and it was a day I showed up like 4 hours late to church. Because
I don't know this.
I mean, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to me because I hate that. Like, I hate letting people down. I hate, being late and not, like I don't like that. And it was extremely embarrassing because it was church, and I don't know if I was scheduled to lead that.
Tell them why
that
you were
day
late.
or not.
You were.
I was, right.
You were. That's why I called you.
So the night
hundreds
before,
of times.
The night before, there was this event in downtown Dallas it was called DTX Street Women or DTX Women.
DTX Women.
Siomi, Linda, Yvette, they were a part of it. I mean, all our people and
we showed up to support.
Because we out here. We always rolled up together, rolled deep.
It's true.
That's church. We roll deep. You go always together. You do life together. Mm-hmm. So we all showed up. But it was not a church event. Okay, not a church event at all. It was a creative event. It was like this. Yeah, it was just like a creative thing. Whatever. Different vendors, photographers.
A couple from the church.
Yeah.
Were the ones that had put it on. This was their life. Like, this is what they actually lived.
Yeah.
And we just got to be a part of it.
And yeah, so like essentially, yeah, it was like so a whole bunch of vendors. There was art. It was dope. It's just like a cool, creative, like commune type of thing. But there was it was late. And I was
to say it.
It took one too many Red Bulls with another drink substance that is not, one that helps you stay physically aware. Nah, we mixed Red Bull with something. I forgot what it was. Whiskey.
You weren't even 21.
Huh?
You weren't even 21.
I was like 20 or something.
You were 20,
like that.
and I had gave you my tokens.
Yes.
Whoops.
Yep. And that, like,
it took him out.
It took me out.
Guys, we went to eat after, and he passed out. He like fell asleep at dinner.
Yep.
Like fully asleep at dinner.
Fully. Yeah. So knocked out. I don't even remember how I got to my dorm.
I don't either. Actually.
I got to my dorm, knocked out, woke up at like 1 or something the next day. It was Sunday.
It wasn't Atlanta. It was more like, because service started at what?
9,
10?
We had 9 and
you
11
showed
service.
up at like
12 or something?
11. You
The
showed
11?
up right before the 11,
Oh, really?
like 10:45
Oh, okay, dang.
or something.
Yeah, I mean, because I
Like, you
remember
were
showing
like-
up. Yeah, I showed up.
And you
I
were
was so mad.
You were so mad.
so mad,
was so funny.
disappointed.
In hindsight, it was funny. At the time,
Oh, yeah.
I was freaking
Oh,
out.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, God, here we go. We're about to argue.
Oh, yeah.
He's about to
Yep.
be mad at me.
Yep.
I'm about to be the... This is
Yeah,
this was our
bad.
dynamic, guys.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean,
We were
I
not
was
in a good space.
so like just ashamed, embarrassed, angry. I was like, oh my god.
I think what added
was
insult
so
to
bad.
injury was that Vince...
Oh yeah, I was getting there. So I walk up in there, and I remember he walks up to me, puts his hand on my shoulder, looks at me. He was like, "Yeah, so let's never do that again."
Well, no, because that night
so
before he came
funny.
up to you
Yes.
and he was like, "Hey,
You good?
let's make sure we're at church tomorrow."
Yeah.
He told you that. I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
made it
Oh
worse.
yeah. Oh
was
yeah.
that he had
Yeah.
basically like told you.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like the funny part of it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It was
ugh.
hilarious.
So I mean that was like the worst, most embarrassing thing, that I've ever gone through. And obviously since then, I'd never happened again and all that. But it was like one of those things where that was again during our time where we were like super young, going through
Foolish.
things, super foolish. But like there's a really interesting part of that story, which we'll get into another time, of like God's grace in that moment and how he sees you and takes you from that.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful. We'll get into it. It's actually a big part of my testimony, or part of my testimony. But it was an interesting time. It was definitely rough and my most embarrassing church moment.
Yeah.
Definitely. And again, and the reason I say that, and I'm totally fine with saying that, is because, again, and I want you guys to hear us, like, we are extremely vulnerable and open.
Yeah.
And, we are an open book.
Yeah.
We don't hide. We say it how it is.
Yeah.
And part of it, this is a really random segue, because I do want to talk about this in another episode, so I'm not going to foreshadow it. But I do want to do a little segue with this story, because I think there's a beautiful connotation. Then we'll end here. We'll definitely do a part 2, because there's a lot of stuff we're missing, but we don't want this to be 5 hours long. Hope you guys are enjoying it and having fun with it. And send us questions that you guys want us to answer and stuff for part 2. But the reason I bring up that story, and I think it's so beautiful, and God's redemption and his grace and mercy, because... And again, the reason that we talk about these things so openly is because, again, I'm going to talk about this in another episode. We're going to bring this up because this is a conversation a lot of you guys are wanting us to talk about, which is a tough one, but I believe it needs to be talked about, and I love it. I think it's important. But it's like, looking at everything going on in the church and all these pastors falling left and right, churches crumbling left and right. I'm not going to get into the details right now because we'll save that for an episode. But here's what I will say. A lot of why that stuff happens is because there's no vulnerability, no accountability, and they don't tell on themselves first.
Dang.
So here's the thing. We want to plant a church one day. We want to do this thing for the long haul.
Yeah.
I will be the first one to roast myself, rat myself out,
Yeah.
and tell my stories because I don't want someone else to.
Me too.
So... if you're listening, if you heard that story, you're like, oh my God, Sam, whoa, Pastor Sam, whatever, da-da-da-da. Here's the thing. I would rather tell you everything I've done and my flaws than you find it out.
One way or another, or it coming out sideways. Yeah.
So that's why we're so vulnerable. And there's a lot of people always say, man, you guys are too vulnerable. I've had many people, pastors and leaders that I know, friends of mine, be like, yo, you got to tone down the vulnerability, bro. You're exposing too much. I'm like, why? Like,
it's part of who we are.
No, sorry, I don't agree with that. Like, I've had people say, y'all got to really tone down the vulnerability. Like, people need to make sure that, but I'm like, no, what you're asking me to do, what you're asking us to do is to be fake and to make people believe that we're perfect and everything's right. No, our life is hard. We go through things. Yeah. Sometimes it sucks. We've made mistakes. We will make mistakes. Yeah. So the beauty of us doing this podcast today, talking about our story, talking about this funny story and many to come we'll talk about, and the difficulties of our relationship and the good, the bad, and the ugly that we did and went through, is so that one, y'all understand and see that 100% we're human, we're flawed, and that God can still move and use you. Mm-hmm. Two, that we will be the first ones to always rat on ourselves. We'll be the first ones to always tell on each other, because we don't want anyone to ever think or believe or feel like there's something hidden. Yeah. Because that is why these people are falling. That is why people are leaving the church. That is why people feel this animosity, because no one is checking on anyone. No one's holding themselves accountable, and no one is being the first one to say, I did it. This is what I've done. Mm-hmm. This is who I am. Mm-hmm. Who I was, actually. Yeah, not who I am, who I was. So we say that to say, with this episode and with this story and other episodes and stories we'll bring up, we will never shy away from that. Yeah. If it makes you feel a certain way or it offends you, God bless you. But check yourself. Because the reality is, we always want to be vulnerable, transparent, open, and we want you guys to know who we are in our life, and to learn from our mistakes, and to see God move through the mistake, and through our errors, and see God's redemption and mercy and grace and restoration through that. So with that, this is part one of our story. We're definitely going to do part two. I did
get one question.
Yes.
I got one question.
What was it?
It's fully irrelevant. Mm-hmm. But the question I got was, favorite hot dog toppings. Wait.
Okay, go for it.
I think you should guess. You should try to do mine.
Okay.
And then I'll try yours.
Okay, so I think, onion. You love onion.
Okay.
The chopped one. Okay. And the grilled. You like both, but grilled is really good. You don't like relish. You don't do that, but you do like bacon. Wrapped bacon, mustard, and ketchup. Mayo. You don't really use ketchup that much. Sometimes, but always. It's not really
always.
Huh. So I feel like sometimes you don't.
It's because it's under the onion.
Oh, that's why it's hidden. Yeah. And then that's kind of what you. I've never really seen you put anything else or anything crazy. You do like to do some variations of stuff sometimes. I do. But I think that's kind of like when we go to Costco hot dogs, best hot dogs in the world. Costco. That's usually what you get.
But if I have a chance, I always get a chili cheese dog.
Yeah, that's a whole different hot dog.
It's a dog, though.
Yeah, no, you love chili cheese. You haven't had them in a minute, though.
Because nobody has them.
QT, baby.
You're
QT.
A basic hot dog boy.
Yeah, mine.
You want mustard, ketchup, relish,
and
onion,
mayo.
And mayo.
Absolutely.
But there's, some people don't do mayos on hot dogs. Some people don't do ketchup on hot dogs. I don't know. There's like
But
rules.
Sometimes I love the grilled onion and the bacon.
I'll wrap it in bacon. You'll eat anything I make, to be honest.
Absolutely. But that's
But you're like a straightforward hot dog guy.
I like chili cheese dogs. Chicago has some of the best, in my opinion, has the best hot dogs in the world.
You don't take me nowhere.
Well, we'll go. It's awesome. It's amazing.
I only go to Chicago for one thing.
For the Wolf verse,
the Wolf,
Chicago Fire, Chicago MD, all these different Chicago.
The Chicago universe, absolutely.
We'll
if you know, you know.
But those are our toppings. Yep. Anyway, this is a long one. We try to keep it short. We'll keep the next one hopefully shorter, but we will do a part 2 because we're not close to it.
This is just the beginning.
Anyway, but this was our fun little, get to know a little bit of us and our story for episode number 10. We love you guys.
We love you.
Send us questions. Send us questions.
Oh, and be on the lookout.
Yes.
We're going to have some coffee with friend meets. I love you. Please stay.
Yes.
Merch.
Yes.
T-shirts, really. Yeah. Stickers. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out. I would have brought the prototype, but I didn't have time to make it. but I am personally very excited about it.
Same.
Super pumped.
It's gonna be a banger.
If you are free on Saturday, this is
Yep.
our Coffee with Friends Saturday.
It's a coffee with
come
friends.
Get free coffee.
Saturday.
Come hang out. Come pet my dogs. Meet my cat.
Mm-hmm.
And
our chickens.
Our chickens.
Yep.
We got 2 new chickens.
Yep,
we
yep,
have Bertha, Night Fury, and Meredith because she's gray. So her name is Meredith Gray.
Yes.
And if you know,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, so come through.
Come through.
Coffee with Friends.
Come hang out.
10 to 2.
Affogatos this Saturday.
Yes, affogatos.
They'll be delicious. They'll
Yeah.
be fun.
So
I'm
come
excited.
through that.
Excited to serve y'all.
Yeah.
So
You guys always love IRL Coffee with Friends, so come to that. And
Yeah.
then my promotion.
my
My new single, my latest single is
it
dropping.
doesn't matter. It's not the one with me.
Yeah, it's not. It'll
It's
be
the
next
one. It's a good one. It's a
still-
really good
it's a
one. It's a
banger.
great one. I
So-
personally really love this song.
that one. Yeah, yeah.
I do love this
Yeah.
song. And if you know me, you know there was an era of Sam that I did not like.
Oh yeah,
So this one,
yeah. It's a new
This is a
vibe.
banger.
It's a new
this is a
chapter.
banger. This is good.
So latest single dropping
Friday.
Friday. Other than that, we love you guys. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Part 2 of this conversation will be coming later, but we will go back to our regular scheduled episodes next week. With
Yep.
that being said, hit us with the outro.
Have fun.
Have fun.
Live your best life.
Live your best life.
And go get coffee with friends.
And go get coffee with friends. We love you guys.
Bye.
Take it easy. See y'all on Saturday.